We're here today with the director of the new movie Through the Lens, Sam Laverty, and today we've got a unique insight as to how Sam actually used a range of different technologies to create her different productions. So, Sam, nice to see you. Let's start off. Could you tell me about the kind of main technologies you used during the construction, research and planning of your production?
Well, I'd use questionnaires to help get feedback on what an audience wants out of a horror film. And I use this software called SurveyMonkey, which is better than normal questionnaires. As with normal questionnaires, you tend to hand it to a select group, say a sixth form, that are all one demographic, they're all one age group with one opinion on things. Whereas using SurveyMonkey, you get it out to a wider demographic, which allows you to get better results, and also you can get more responses back because you're getting it out to a larger number of people, i.e. all the friends you have on Facebook and anybody you have as email contacts. I also used a voice recorder for when I was doing smaller focus groups. This was really useful, as then I could review what was being said afterwards to be able to get the best out of it for my movie. For example, they said they didn't like many shots of the zombie, they liked chasing. Therefore, I could apply this to my film. I also used YouTube tutorials, which I found particularly useful, as they allow me to understand what effects certain shots have. For example, looking up at someone makes them big and powerful, and it can also, say if it's a zombie you're showing as big and powerful, induce fear in the audience, which is an effect I would try and create for my film. I used Word a lot for planning, as that allowed me to get my notes down in a clear, concise way. It has lots of useful features such as bullet points to write lists, and you can colour code things and use different fonts to help separate off areas, which is what I found very useful with that, even though it is still relatively basic. I used quite a wide range of things for the construction. I used Panasonic cameras. I used both iMovie and Premiere Pro to edit, Publisher to create my film posters, and my review article, and I also used Photoshop to edit some of the photos used in things like my poster to create the effect, the polished effect I really was looking for.
Okay, Sam, so how did you actually research what was going on in the genre of kind of short horror movies?
Well, short horror movies are in general, quite hard to get hold of on things like DVD. Not many places will stock them, and if they do, you have to usually wait 5 years for them actually to get to you. But I found YouTube was a brilliant resource, as it had quite a large range of both amateur and professional short horror films that I could then look at to see what I would be able to create with the time span of 5 minutes that I was aiming for. So I looked at a mixture of both 5-minute films that were shorter than 5 minutes to see the effect they created, and then I also looked at some longer short films which were around the sort of 10-15 minute mark.
So obviously YouTube's got a function where you can see the comments from some of the people that have watched the clip. Did you use that at all in terms of your planning?
Yes, I did, because then I could see what they thought they liked and disliked about that particular film, learn from what they are saying about other people's film, and applying that to my own.
So in terms of actually planning your short film, Sam, what kind of methods did you use?
Well, most of my storyboards I actually did the old-fashioned way. I did them hand-drawn, as this is a lot easier and simpler to be able to do in the time period I had without having to download specialist software, which can often be expensive, as things like storyboards are often quite a faff to do on programs such as Word or Publisher. However, Word was quite useful for jotting down storylines, as particularly as my handwriting isn't brilliant, it makes it a lot easier to reread what I've written later, and I can colour code things to say that goes there and that's that and whatever.
So obviously you've done a lot of filming for this project. Let's start off with the hardware that you use, Sam. So we'll get into software and editing in a bit. What kind of hardware did you use for the filming process?
Well, I used Panasonic camcorders. They weren't the most expensive camcorder, but for the sort of look first-person style I was going for, they were more than adequate. However, I wish the microphone was slightly better on them. I think if you were going for a film that had a much more polished look, you may need sort of the next model up or next couple of models up to improve the visuals and the sound quality to create a more polished film. I also used a tripod, which was very good for steadying some of my shots, particularly ones that were made to look like a professional news report. However, I wish we'd had better tripods, as the thread stripped on the top of the tripod, so I had to then secure it with blue tack, which isn't the best thing in the world to try and do. It's a bit fiddly.